Hi everybody, my name is Qian Xu. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Communications at Elon. I teach a required iMedia course named Interactive Media Strategies, which helps students understand the effects and effectiveness of various kinds of interactive technologies on users, how to implement the appropriate rationales to interface design, and how to conduct usability tests to evaluate the interface. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the different factors to be taken into consideration when we evaluate the effectiveness of interactive media. Two examples will be discussed in the video to demonstrate how interactivity would make a difference on user experience. At the end of this video, I'm going to provide a link to an article for you to read. Please share your thoughts about it on our course discussion board and learn from other alumni about the experiences. First, I'm going to show you 3 versions of an interactive project of an online magazine. While you are watching me interacting with them, I would like you to think about 4 questions. Among the 3 versions, which one is more interactive? Which would users like more? Which would users engage more? And finally, which would lead to the best memory? Each site is composed of 4 tabs, detailing different topics related to brain and addiction. They share exactly the same content, including both texts and visuals. They only differ from each other for the number of interactive features. On the first website, both visual and textual information shown in the second tab is directly laid out. There are no embedded links or buttons for users to click. The third tab explains what happens in our brain when addiction happens. Similar to the second tab, the text and images are directly presented with no embedded links. The fourth tab demonstrates different types of addiction. Each is accompanied by a thumbnail image and a short text. Again, there is no interactive features embedded. Now let's take a look at the second version. In the second tab, instead of showing all 3 brain activity images at the same time, it incorporates the internal links. When you click each of the links, the brain activities images change accordingly. The third tab is now turned into a feature controlled by the back and forth button. Once a user finishes reading the whole section, the restart button would bring him or her back to the beginning of the content. The fourth tab only shows the explanation for one addiction at a time. Once you click one of the smaller thumbnails, the one in the center changes accordingly with the relevant text. Now let's move on to the third version. The first 2 tabs are the same as the second version. However, the third tab adds animation showing the flow of substances in the brain on top of the back and forth button. The last tab demonstrates the different types of addiction by way of a 3D carousel. Once you mouse over the thumbnail, the text information is shown. The first 2 versions of this interactive project were created by my colleagues at the Penn State University and me based on the original Addiction and the Brain interactive story produced by Time.com, which is shown as the last version. We recruited 45 individuals and randomly assigned them to interact with one of the 3 websites. Now let's get back to the 4 questions that I gave you earlier. As you probably have predicted, users rated the first website as the least interactive, whereas the last website as the most interactive. For the liking aspect, we discovered that the high interactivity led to the most favorable attitude towards the content. This favorability also transfers to their attitude towards the website in general. However, for engagement, the low interactivity website and the high interactivity website were pretty similar in their capacities to engage users. In contrast, the website with medium level of interactivity led to the least engagement. Why would this happen? During the interview after the research sessions, participants told us that they actually engaged in different things for low interactivity and for high interactivity. Those who in low interactivity had nothing to click. Therefore, they focused more on reading the actual content. In contrast, those who in high interactivity actually engaged more in playing around with all the cool features. Those who in the medium interactivity condition initially had high hope for the interactive features after first few clicks. However, they failed to find anything interactive further. This frustration likely turned them away from further exploration of the project. Finally, for users' recall, we did not find any significant difference across conditions. In fact, low interactivity led to more recall than the other two conditions. This finding could be explained by the limited capacity theory proposed by Dr. Annie Lan. She argues that the total cognitive resource available in our brain is limited. If we spend too much resource on one of the three sub-processes, such as encoding, storage, or retrieval, we would not have enough resources left for the other processes. Encoding is associated with how we orient to media stimuli, such as paying attention, whereas storage and retrieval are associated with saving and retrieving information by using long-term and short-term memories. Following this theory, if the fancy interactive features draws too much attention from users, we would not have enough mental resources left to save the information carried by the interactive features in our memory, let alone to retrieve it. This is the end of video 1.